My video is rocking and rolling.
Oh, shit. This is going to be... Well, whatever. Fuck it. We'll try. This is going to be hard for me to read. Like, the lighting is tough to actually read this text, but I'll do the best I can when we get to that. Okay.
And we're rolling.
Welcome to episode 64 of the Degenerates Clubhouse, our final episode of 2021. But before we get into the episode proper, Mondo, I have a story from earlier in the week that I've saved to tell you just for the beginning of the episode.
All right.
Which is exciting. As you know, I've been climbing 14ers, like technically plural now. Could you explain what a 14er is to the listening audience at large? It's
a mountain that's beats in 14,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah, it's very high up. Our air starts to get thin. So I had successfully climbed 2 14ers, which is really difficult this time of year because it's cold as fuck. It gets super windy, so forth and so on. But I did not successfully climb one this Tuesday. I tried. I got most of the way up.
That would have been your third?
It would have been the third of this winter. And so here's what happened. I got off to a very, very rocky start because, as we've mentioned previously on the podcast, sometimes I have some tummy troubles, right? And 2 days prior to doing this, I took an osmotic laxative. And what an osmotic laxative does is it draws a bunch of water into your intestines to kind of flush everything out. And the good part is it doesn't disrupt your system and like fuck with your natural digestion like some of the harsher laxatives do. The bad part is you don't really know when they're going to kick in.
So it just explodes?
Yeah, it could be a few hours, couple, 2-3 days. It's a mystery surprise.
Really?
Yeah. And so I roll up to this trail, drive all the way 2 hours away. So I go past Breckenridge, like to this Quandary Peak Trail. And I get there, and there's one other car in the parking lot. It's like, I think at that point it was like 11 o'clock. I wanted to start a little bit earlier, but that still was going to give me plenty of time to get to the top of the mountain. And so I'm putting on all my various layers because it starts way warmer, and then the higher you get, the colder and windier and more screwed up it gets. So it's like I'm pulling on all kinds of stuff. I'm pulling on tights. I'm pulling on like these neoprene sleeves to keep my legs warm. I'm pulling on the pants over them. I'm just ready to go and start up the trail when the osmotic laxative is like, no, you're not, motherfucker.
And there's no where you're parked or where you're putting all this gear on. There's no bathroom there.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. At some of the trailheads, there actually are bathrooms. There is nothing here, and there wasn't even like a tree line very close. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, if I can just walk a little bit like back down the trail, and then I can go, into the trees and find a little secluded area. And the osmotic laxative is like, no, you will not, motherfucker. We're doing this right now.
I got a question for you. Is there where you're at now? Is there snow at this point, or is it not cold enough where you're at?
There is snow.
Oh, okay.
That will come into play later. Spoiler alert. So like, I'm like, oh no, we're code red. Like all the sirens are going. Bah, bah. I'm like, this is happening. T minus 5, 4. And I'm like just trying to run away from my car, just hopefully to get out of sight from where the other car is. And I'm like, nope, this spot right here. Just squat, like pull my pants, drop a deuce, and I thought I successfully managed to execute that without any collateral damage. That was what I thought, and that's what I learned. Sometimes your perception and reality don't always match up.
Oh no!
So I'm like, oh okay, whew, crisis averted. And then I look down, I'm like, oh no, my underwear is toast.
Oh fuck!
Like fortunately, the rest of my clothing was unscathed, but there's just a bunch of poopy in my underwear.
Oh no!
So now I'm just sitting there squatting, and I'm like, what do I do? I'm trying to wipe my butt because I did bring Dude Wipes. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Dude Wipes. And I'm trying to wipe myself off, but there's too much.
Oh no!
I'm like, oh no. So while this is all happening, that first car that
Hold
was
on, hold
parked
on.
there.
Wait. So then, prior to that poop, how long had it been since you last pooped?
I'm not sure.
So it could have been like you were kind of clogged up for a day or
Oh,
two.
indeed. Let me put it. It was more than a day or two.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Dang.
that's why it was such an emergency when the laxative kicked in. So like I'm trying to wipe myself, and like that's when the car that was in the parking lot pulls away. I'm like, yeah, I did not get out of view of the parking lot, not even a little bit.
Oh, no.
Fuck. I'm like, oh well, I'll never see these people again. Whatever. So now here's the other problem I'm presented with is I have to remove the underwear, and I've got, like I said, I have pants and then tights and then and shoes. I'm like, oh no, this all has to come off. And so like I just like I strip down.
You strip down to your pantsless, but you're basically bottomless.
I am buck naked from the waist down, and I kind of realized like this is too big of a job for dude wipes. Such a thing exists, like because not only yes, it got in my underwear, but I also just got it all over my butt.
Yeah.
So that's when I'm like, it is probably at that point below freezing cold, but there's copious amounts of snow.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just like pulling and trying to pack the snow together, but it was so cold that it would barely pack, and I'm just like wiping myself and throwing the shitty snow around, butt naked from the waist down, and that's when the second car rolls up to the parking lot.
Oh no!
I'm just like, oh no, yeah. Fortunately, they were pretty polite about it. They were like, we're just not getting involved.
They saw you butt naked, or did they not see you butt naked?
I mean, maybe they were all blind.
Oh, so they literally were like, there's a naked dude here. What the fuck? I'm surprised they didn't like call, I don't know, forest rangers or some shit.
I mean, I think it was kind of obvious what was happening.
Yeah.
Like, and I definitely managed to wipe myself down with the snow as fast as I could. I took a little snow shower. I got everything back on, and then at this point I'm like, I think like maybe I just burn my underwear and go home and try to pretend none of this ever happened. But I driven 2 hours. It was gonna be another 2 hours back. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go up this mountain, and that's when I realized I was at the wrong trail.
Oh, boo!
So I wasn't that far away from the correct trail, but like by the time I got there, it was already 1 o'clock, and I spent 3.5 hours going up the mountain. I was maybe literally like 20 minutes from the very peak, and that's when the sun was going down. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to get stuck up at like the highest, coldest, most treacherous part of the mountain in the dark if I don't leave right now.
I'll tell you what, dude. I would have quit like from the second I had to take a shit. I would be like, I'm done. I'm not looking for a trail. I'm not climbing this. I'm just gonna throw on whatever clothes I got on and go home and just cry myself to sleep.
You are a wiser man than I am, sir.
Jesus.
but so all that, and I did not even make it to the top.
Damn.
It was a shitty trip.
Yeah, it was a shitty trip. I love those shits, those like rocket launcher explosive shits. When you're at home, when you're comfortable, you're like, yes, like I accomplished something.
Yes.
I won. When you're like, when you don't want it to happen, when you're like for me, like I'm on the road, I'm driving all the time, and if I had to take a shit in the middle of the day, I'm like, fuck, like it just throws off like everything.
It was the worst though, because it was a shit that was, the first part was just like euphoric relief, and the second part was just complete terror and panic.
Yeah.
Oh, what just happened?
I wonder, you know how so like on Facebook, there's like groups, like there's like hiking and blah, blah, blah groups, like people that just communicate with each other on Facebook and social media. I wonder if anyone on one of those groups like posted like, we just encountered this fucking half naked weird dude just fucking shat all over himself. Like that would have been, I want to scour all the Facebook forums and see if someone made a comment of your little dinky wang.
Well, no, I mean they wouldn't have made a comment of my little dinky wang.
Well, dinky wang and poopy butt all over the place.
Probably poopy butt.
Oh no, that's fucked up.
Because that was the one thing. I mean, I was facing away from the lot, so like they would have mostly just seen my butt.
Ass crack.
Yeah.
Shitty butt crack.
But speaking of shitty things that have happened this year, look how I did that. And bad jokes. We have a very special Degenerates news. This is the Degenerates news 2021 year in review.
A lot of fucked up shit's happened this year.
And me trying to make bad jokes to go along with it. Let's go.
So these are all written by Aaron. So if this doesn't make you laugh, blame him.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like a kid that started their homework assignment too late. Like I started trying to write all this morning. I'm like, wow, this this is way more difficult than I thought it would be. But anyway, we kicked off 2021 with a pro-Trump mob storming the Capitol on January 6th in an attempt to prevent Congress from certifying Joe Biden's election win. They attacked and killed police officers in the process. The insurrectionists viewed themselves as freedom fighters. But Mondo, I have a question for you. If firefighters fight fire and crime fighters fight crime, what do freedom fighters fight?
Freedom.
You're up.
Oh, so then hold on. Then the one that you rewrote the first one completely.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I was doing the whole time before the podcast. Where I'm like, wow, this joke's terrible. I'm going to try to rewrite it.
Ah, okay. Because I was like, I'm looking for like the line where you.
Yeah,
anyway, on January 27th, stock prices soared for GameStop thanks to the subreddit Wall Street Bets, successfully manipulating the stock market. The move cost hedge funds more than $19 billion in January alone. For many Wall Street insiders, this was the first time they'd been fucked without the cocaine and hookers being present. And for many Redditors, this is the first time they'd fucked anyone at all.
Accurate. On February 2nd, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos announced he would leave his CEO post later in the year. This gave him more time to focus on space exploration and complete his story arc of turning into an Iron Man supervillain. And also, just on a side note, this led me to look up what Mackenzie Scott was doing, who was Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who won, $38 billion in their divorce settlement. And it turns out she married Dan Jewett, who I worked with at Harriton High School. And I was like, oh my God, that guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah, you told that story.
Good job, Mr. Jewett. This is just another shout out to Mr. Jewett.
On February 7th, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, giving Tom Brady his 7 Super Bowl rings. That's 7 more Super Bowl victories than the entire San Diego Chargers franchise. Ha, ha, ha. That's not a joke. Aaron wrote this. Explain in your own words how being forced to read this made you feel. Lol. Anyway, they're not the San Diego Chargers anymore, cocksucker. They're the Los Angeles Chargers. Get it right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected.
You son of a bitch.
The point is completely refuted.
What a dickhead.
Yeah. On February 15th, millions of Texans were left without electricity as a winter storm causing the state to shut. On February 15th, millions of Texans were left without electricity as a winter storm caused the state to shut down faster for 20. Wow, I fucked up the writing of this. Hold on. Hold on. I'm just gonna start the whole thing over. On February 15th, millions of Texas were left without electricity as a winter storm caused the state to shut down. The state shut down faster for 26-degree weather than they did for a global pandemic. In a state with so many lifted pickup trucks and shotguns, you'd think they'd be used to dealing with something white and 4 inches.
Get it.
Yeah, it's a little dick joke.
On March 11th, President Biden signed into law a giant $1.9 trillion COVID-19 stimulus package, marking the first time the words Biden, giant, and package have appeared in the same sentence. I like that one. That one's a funny one.
Speaking of giant packages, on March 23rd, a huge container ship got stuck sideways in the Suez Canal, causing many people to fondly reminisce about the Pam and Tommy Lee sex tape.
On April 20th, 420, whoop whoop, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, is that how you pronounce his last name?
I believe so, yeah.
Probably. Was found guilty of murder after he kneeled on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Chauvin will now have 22 and a half years in prison to perfect his kneeling technique.
See, that's a prison blowjob joke. Now, I think actually in most contexts, male prison rape is not something that should be trivialized or joked about. But in Chauvin's case, like, fuck that guy, which is exactly what his fellow inmates will do. Wow, I stumbled on that a little bit.
On May 19th, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill banning most abortions after 6 to 8 weeks of pregnancy. I'm not going to try and make a joke about this because abortion jokes are very hard to deliver.
I enjoyed watching like that Mondo's face as he's kind of slowly realizing what that joke is about. This little grin spread across his face. Uh, on June 21st, the Supreme Court ruled that strict NCAA limits on compensating college athletes violate U.S. antitrust law. When reached for comment, the University of Alabama football team said, "Let's fucking go! Keg party at our house!" This keg party was sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer of blacking out in college.
Yeah. On June 24th, a 12-story section of Champlain Towers condominium in Surfside, Florida, collapsed, marking 1,600 first, third. You didn't
Marking the 1,653rd most.
see?
Yeah.
Most sketchy thing to happen in Florida this year.
Here we go.
Aaron.
Dude, like I said, I wrote all this morning.
Yeah.
On June 30th, Bill Cosby was released from prison after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction for sexual assault. Hey, Mondo, what's the difference between Bill Cosby and a tiny fencing sword?
I already read the answer, so
Jesus Christ. Mondo, what's the difference between Bill Cosby and a tiny fencing sword?
I don't know, Aaron. What is the difference between Bill Cosby and a giant fencing sword?
A tiny fencing sword.
Or a tiny fencing sword?
One's a little rapier.
On July 8th, organizers of the
I agree.
On July 8th, organizers of the Tokyo Olympics banned spectators as COVID-19 cases surged. However, this did little to slow down sex in the Olympic Village, which the only place the competitors were trying to come second. Which is the only...
Yeah.
Anyway, I get it. Trying to come second because they're banging each other.
Yeah. Alternately, you could have said the only place where they're not trying to finish first.
Mm.
On August 10th, Andrew Cuomo resigned as New York's governor following a report by the state's attorney general that he had harassed multiple women. This came directly following the revelation that his administration severely underreported COVID deaths in retirement homes. You can read about this in the sequel to Cuomo's autobiography titled Smacking Fannies and Killing Grannies.
On August 30th, the last U.S. troops in Afghanistan withdrew, ending nearly 20 years of fighting but leaving more than 100 Americans and tens of thousands of American-Afghan allies to an uncertain future. This was one of the most poorly executed pullouts since my little brother was conceived. That's messed up. I didn't do that joke, Hector. That was Aaron.
On September 14th, a whistleblower revealed that Facebook's research showed Instagram is toxic for teenage girls, but the company plays down the issue in public. A month later, CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced the company is changing its name to Meta Platforms. This all happened because Zuckerberg never met a girl until he was in college.
Meta, get it? Meta.
Yeah, it was a weak pun on words.
I always wondered. I was thinking about that meta thing. I didn't realize what had happened.
Very strange.
Yeah. On October 6th, the WHO, World Health Organization, recommended the widespread deployment of the world's first malaria vaccine in what can only be described as a crushing blow to mosquitoes.
On November 19th, the FDA cleared the COVID-19 vaccine boosters for Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna in all adults. This was a bad joke. This was crucial timing as immunity levels were dropping and conspiracy theorists were running out of plot points for their fanfics.
On December 10th, tornadoes ripped through Kentucky and 5 other states, killing many people and leveling entire towns. No joke on this one because, like Christmas lights in October and saying I love you on the first date, it's too soon.
Yeah, for real. Like you just should not make tornado jokes. It's like kind of like making jokes about Kobe Bryant's death. They're just extremely hard to land. And on December 17th, Spider-Man No Way Home released in theaters. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil what was a great movie for you. Because, like, clearly we don't need another tragedy in 2021.
You know what's funny is when COVID first hit, obviously the last quarter of 2019, everyone was like hoping that the thing would be like we'd be done and over with it in 6 months. We're like 6 months a year, that'd be great. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, a lot longer than that, and we're still
Yeah.
We're still kind of fucked. We're dealing with all this other bullshit.
Yeah, I mean we're less fucked than we were, for sure. But yeah, it's tricky. That was the part where it's like I don't know how to explain this to people. It's like science doesn't immediately present you with all the answers. It's sort of a process of trial and error and figuring shit out. And like, yeah, man, it was like a brand new, never before seen virus. They're figuring out how things worked. You know, it was hope for the best and kind of prepare for the worst sort of situation. But please get your fucking vaccines and boosters because it'll be way better if everyone does.
Yeah, okay. Enough of that. Moving on. Florida man. No transition necessary. Florida man who threw plank extinguisher at police gets longest Capitol riot sentence. This was literally like 2 days ago.
Yeah, and it was funny. I wanted to find a different Florida man story, but in the Florida man subreddit, it was just post after post about this. I'm like, okay, Florida man subreddit, I will listen. So what was the lowdown on the sentencing?
A federal judge sentenced a U.S. Capitol rioter to more than 5 years in prison on Friday on charges that he threw a wooden plank and a fire extinguisher at police during the January 6th attack on the seat of government. The Department of Justice said Robert Scott Palmer of Largo, Florida, was sentenced to 63 months for assaulting law enforcement with dangerous weapons during the assault, which took place as Vice President Mike Pence and members of Congress met to certify President Joe Biden's 2020 election victory. Palmer is the first January 6th defendant to be sentenced on the charge of assaulting, resisting, or impeding officers using a dangerous or deadly weapon. It is the longest sentence imposed so far in the investigation of the events of January 6th.
Dang. So I wonder like what all of it. I mean, there were a lot of people there,
Tons of them.
and I wonder how much their buttholes are clenching up right now.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of them. Well, not even I think. There were text message chains going back and forth between them saying like, I think we'll be fine. Like, oh, they're really only going after people who like damage stuff and yeah, I think most of them were under the assumption they were just going to get off completely scot-free. It's like, oh no, this dude got 5 years.
According to court documents, Palmer, 54, was among rioters outside the Capitol. While there... Wait. Didn't I just read this? The article kind of just repeats itself. It's kind of weird. Anyway, Palmer was arrested on March 17th. He pleaded guilty on October 4th. U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan also ordered Palmer to pay $2,000 in restitution, and he must serve 3 years of supervised release following his prison term. More than 700 people have been arrested in connection with the assault on the Capitol by supporters of defeated Republican President Donald Trump. I wonder what's the ones that I would worry about, or not worry. The ones that should be shitting themselves are like the more notable ones, like that Buffalo hat guy. You know?
Yeah, he's still in prison.
Oh yeah, so all those fucking guys should be the ones that are like shitting themselves.
Like this is the first insurrection for sure where people were doing it for the gram. Like a lot of these people, it wasn't really. Like, I don't really know what their end game was, but they were documenting it and posting pictures and like, look, I stole this fucking thing off of someone's office. It's like, dude, you were literally doing the FBI's job for them. Like they're not always the most effective. Maybe don't help them and you could get off, but no.
Doing it for the gram, the same could be said for a lot of people that are like, that claim to be activists in general, just about like even good positive causes, and like, oh look, I'm gonna take a picture of me doing this thing. There was that one.
There's a lot of clout chasing.
Yeah, there's a lot of motherfuckers. Like there was one where like a lady. There was one in L.A. I forget where she just like went up to like a place that got rioted, looted, and she just like took a picture, like pretending to help, and then just walked away. Like actually wasn't like trying to clean or anything. Like she was just totally doing it for.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mondo, if you do something for activism or charity and you don't put it on Instagram, did it really happen?
Yeah,
like,
duh.
You can't be sure, but I still wonder to this day, like, what did they have an end game? Like, what did they think that was going to happen? They're like, yeah, we're all going to go into the Capitol building. You know, it really wasn't one of those underpants gnomes situations we talked about. They're like, one, we stormed the Capitol. Question two. Or step two, the big question mark. Step 3, President Trump becomes emperor. I think that was sort of the plan, but like what did they think was going to happen in step 2? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that we're gonna solve anything. But people, when they want to get pissed and get a herd mentality, they just do stupid shit.
Yeah, but this was a first historically, since I mean, like, literally that had not happened since the War of 1812. So they there's those memes where it's like when things go a little too far,
Yeah.
like, or those like kind of like, oh shit, how did I get here moments. Like, I think that might have been one for all of them, but instead of like our normal or like Florida man hijinks, it was trying to overthrow the U.S. government. It's like, oops,
Oops, I did a boo boo.
we got a little carried away. We got really excited and we did an insurrection. We tried to throw the government. Like, come on,
No big deal.
it happens.
Moving on to the world of Reddit, we go. Reddit question number 1: what should you always have in your car, Aaron?
This actually made me think of my last year in college. We had like a volunteer assistant coach who was in law school, and like he had like the absolute shittiest beater we'd ever seen. Like, it was a
The car was a piece of shit.
the car was just I can't remember what it was. It like, but it was one of those cars that has like a different color door than the rest of the car, and like
One door's primered like for the paint job.
exactly.
Nice.
And we were always like, yeah, one day Coach LePen is just not going to show up because his car is going to break down. So like when we were getting coaches gifts at the end of the year, I got him one of those like they even had them back then, but they're way cheaper now. Like, they're these like charging bricks.
Yeah.
Where you can, if you don't have somebody to jump your car, you can just pull this freaking brick out and you hook your jumper cables up to it, and it'll just start the car.
Yeah.
And like, I've always been like, man, every car should have that, and
Yeah.
I've never actually gotten one for my cars because I'm dumb.
Yeah, that's a good one to have. I just carry regular old jumper cables. I was gonna answer with jumper cables, but I actually have another one.
I have another one too. But continue. I just thought of it.
Roll of toilet paper.
And a change of underwear.
You know what's funny is my last job, we had a company SUV, and
Yeah.
I always kept the roll of toilet paper in there, and I did keep an extra pair of underwear in there. I swear to God, I was like, you never know when a little shark, little fart turns into a shark. You're like, oops, I got to continue working.
Because I had the dude wipes, which were, that's the I think even better than a roll of toilet paper, sponsored by Dude Wipes, but I didn't have the underwear. That's what I needed. Oh, because that was the one I didn't even include this in the story.
Uh-oh.
Like, I did have the tights to put back on, but I guess they weren't really made for non-underwear use.
Like bare ass.
So like, my balls were chafing so bad, and fortunately, my mom had given me this like I forget what it's called. It was this like really expensive tube of like moisturizer for like chapped lips. It was like $10 for this little tube. And I'm like, well, this whole thing is going on my balls right now.
Oh, you just like putting chapstick on your nutsack. What the
Basically.
hell? Oh no, that's fucking crazy.
It worked.
Oh no. And not only that, but your nutsack has never been quite as moisturized ever since.
This is the smoothest my nutsack has been since I was a baby.
Yeah, right. Let's see what some of the answers on Reddit are. User Impossible Lock 9129 writes jumper cables. I think that's going to be the most common answer. I think if you don't have jumper cables, or like Aaron said, one of those like power block deals, like you're kind of dumb. Let's see. User Crew Chief 535 writes a blanket. I lost my battery and alternator on the way to work really early on a January morning. It was -4 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and I had to wait over 3 hours for a tow. Only thing I had to keep me warm was my jacket.
That's smart. You know what? I'm gonna do that too, because I have started loading up my hiking pack with some more survivable things, and they've got those emergency blankets where they're super thin. Like, it's just like a kind of metallic looking thing, but it keeps you super warm. So, yeah, I'm gonna throw one in there too.
Those things are expensive, I think.
$2.
I could have swore there are like some that are like
$2
meant to be like negative, like to.
Yep, the one I bought, $2.
Really, I thought they were expensive. Anyway, user Lizzie B77 writes plastic bag, trash bag. You never know when you're going to need to contain a leaky bottle, or when your drunk friend is gonna need something to hurl into. That's a good tip. Having like a doggy bag or vomit bag or something. Especially if you're like, you hang out with my friends. User MacB1046 writes seatbelt cutter. If you live in Florida, then a towel and a beach chair too. Seatbelt cutter. Would you just get like a knife?
I don't know. I didn't even know there was a special thing for cutting seatbelts.
Yeah. Another user responded with the same answer: seatbelt cutter, window breaker, a warm blanket, and a bottle of water. Last one I'll read. User Jimmy Fallon Fake Laugh writes a fire extinguisher. I don't know.
In a car?
Yeah, I don't know, because then you have to service. Those things have to be serviced like every year or something like that. So it's kind of, I don't know. Unless you have like one of them race cars and you have like bottles of nitrous oxide in your fucking car, something that can be extra flammable, then I don't know. That was it for Reddit question number 1. Reddit question number 2. What is something that was used heavily in the year 2000, but it's almost never used today? You got one?
Yeah. Like rewritable CDs.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
CDRs.
That was like there were CDRs and there were CDRWs.
And there was DVDRs.
Oh, that was fancy though.
Yeah.
Back in the day then. But yeah, it was like that was sort of like the last vestige of like the mixtape. Like it used to be people would actually have to sit there with cassettes, like recording songs onto the cassette. Then it got to the point like we were like, "Ooh, look, we're advanced. We can just, make a collection of songs and we can burn them onto a CD."
Yeah.
And like now, I guess sharing playlists is the 2020 equivalent of that, but it's just not the same. It's not like a physical thing.
No, you know what? I remember I've had a girl, not girlfriend, but a girl that was a friend, make me a CD, and I was like, oh, that's a nice, like, I thought it was like a thoughtful, unexpected, weird, thoughtful gift, but it was cool because it exposed me to music that I never would have.
Ooh, what was on there?
I couldn't tell you. I do remember one song. First time I ever heard it. MGMT Electric Feel, and what the nice thing was that we had this similar taste in music. So she showed me. I never heard of MGMT except for that song "Kids" or "The Kids" or whatever it's called. And she played this song. I was like, oh, that's a cool track. It's got a cool bass line. But yeah, I've actually.
Wait, hold on. So the chorus of this song is I said, "Oh girl, shock me like an electric eel. Baby girl, turn me on with your electric feel." I said, "Ooh girl, shock me like an electric eel. Baby
Some
girl,
of the best songs don't have.
No, but hold on. You're trying to tell us, especially after seeing the chorus to this song that you remember, this was a girl who was just a friend.
So okay, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole.
That's what she wanted you to do, and you wouldn't.
I used to have a girlfriend, and this girlfriend was a coworker of mine, and I doubt she listens to this shit. She's one of my Instagram buddies. Anyway, so I had a girlfriend at the time, and my former boss was like, or my boss then was like trying to kind of sort of hook us up, but I was like, I got a girlfriend. I'm not gonna cheat on my girlfriend and be with this girl. But anyway, I think you're right. I think she was trying to like subtly like, hey, I'm into you kind of thing.
Subtly?
Yeah, but I'm horrible. Like we've talked about this. How I'm dumb. I miss all those cues. We did end up going on a kind of a date one time, but it didn't. I think I burned that bridge because all we could both do was like talk about our exes. Like it wasn't a good date when all you do is both talk shit about like ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend stuff, and you're not really anyway. But yeah, she turned me on. I made some mixed CD type deals for a couple girlfriends of mine, and same. It's kind of like you said. It's like now you share a playlist, but it doesn't have that personal touch, I guess.
The other songs, I actually found the playlist from this song that she made. It was also it was the other songs on this mixtape that she made for Mondo were "I Want to Sex You Up" by Color Me Bad.
No.
"To Become a One" by the Spice Girls, "Me So Horny" by Two Live Crew, and "I'm Too Sexy" by
You
Red.
know what sucks is she moved, I think somewhere in Northern California, and now I'm out here in Colorado, and I'm like damn, like she was a good friend, like one where like we probably should have tried to go out like together, like to.
Oh, she did try. That's what's that's the problem.
But again, when it was bad timing when she made me that mixed CD, it was because I was already otherwise
Okay,
in a relationship.
so what else? What else from 2000s is no longer used
So my answer was MySpace. MySpace was huge.
in 2000?
Did you have a MySpace?
I did.
Everyone had a MySpace.
I did. So I didn't use it too much, but I did have a MySpace. I never had a Facebook, up until the last like few years. I can't remember why I had to make it. I think I just made it just for Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. I was like on a good 5, 6, 7 year hiatus from like social media in general, like all social media, like everything. And then at the time I was like I was collecting the trading cards more heavily. So I joined the forums on Facebook for that. But MySpace was cool because you could personalize your like landing page, like your homepage, and you put like you change your background, your music and shit. And
Oh, people went nuts with that stuff.
yeah.
See, I remember when all those sites came out. Well, I didn't think I really understood the purpose of social media because I was like, dude, I can make my own website. I don't need this site. But dude, you never would see something like this nowadays either, though, because it was like the fucking Hunger Games for friendship. Because do you remember like what was it? Your top 5 friends? Or like you had to rank your friends. You're like,
so fucked up.
Hey, everyone else besides these 5 people, you were less important to me.
Yeah. I think it was top 10 maybe. But yeah, you're right. You had to rank your friends, and that was kind of shitty. Like, oh, you're no longer in my top 10. Oh man, MySpace was cool. You could, I like being able to like actually create your own homepage, like put like background music and.
Hey, I didn't like that mixtape you made for me. You're not in the top 10 anymore.
Yeah. And everybody's friend was Tom.
Tom from MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace was cool. Is that shit still around? Is MySpace
not in the form it was anymore. I think the website's still active, but I forget what it became.
Dude, I bet you if I looked at my MySpace page now, it would be so cringy. Like it would be like, "Oh my god, I'm retarded." Like what was I thinking? Dumb younger version of Armando. Anyway, some of the other answers on Reddit. Papa Weir writes Geocities, Neopets,
GeoCities.
Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, GeoCities.
I was just Geocities. Anyways, Neopets, LiveJournal, and Kazaa.
Oh, Kazaa.
They're
all the like
Napster and shit.
Yeah, music downloading sites.
User Paroxys M Attack writes, if you had a big screen TV, it was probably a ridiculously thick rear projection TV. Yeah, do you remember what was the guy's name? Spiffs? The guy we played Halo with, how he had that fucking huge. We were like, oh, it's cool because you have a big screen TV, but the thing took up like half the room. It was ridiculous how wide those things were.
Yeah, so that was actually something that was funny when I was looking at all these different campers, because I bought like a big 30-foot camper. All the ones I was looking at, there's like no fucking place to put like a big TV. I'm like, this is bullshit. And then I noticed, starting like right around like 2013, all of a sudden there were places for like big TVs. And then I remember, right, because in the years I was looking at, like I think mine's 2003. If you were trying to put a big TV, it would have taken up like half the fucking camper.
Yeah.
It is funny how television, like technology, influenced the floor planning of campers.
User FMaz008 writes, computer mice with a ball. My friend had one with the first Microsoft IntelliMouse, which did not use a ball. As I recall it was the first laser mouse without a ball.
Ooh, fancy.
That was commercialized in a popular way. It was released in October 1999, so in 2000, most mice were with a ball and slowly fade away. Let's see what other.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Yeah, sure.
What time are we at in the episode?
What time are we at in the episode? Let me look. We are in 40-minute mark, so we still have plenty of time if we want to add a little.
You know what? Let's do a quick review.
Sure.
Of Lost in Space. We're
Sure.
gonna skip the fictional television show, go straight to a real one. It's not an episode. Season 3 of Lost in Space recently dropped on Netflix. One could argue that there's better stuff to watch out there, but if you want a highly entertaining sci-fi / soap opera to watch.
Yeah.
Do you think Lost in Space is a good pick?
I think most people probably our age recognize Lost in Space, the franchise back in the 60s, 70s, and like, oh, it's an old or it's an
Yeah,
old
I
show.
mean barely, but yeah.
So they tried to like, remake it, kind of reimagine it.
Was that one you'd seen? Had you seen the original franchise?
I think I may have seen clips and or maybe episodes. Never really like watched
Yeah.
it, but I may have seen clips and if not like an episode or two here or there of the old show.
Well, because that is interesting, right? Because I feel like there's a lot of shows from around that same era that a lot of people have seen. Like, have you seen Gilligan's Island episodes, right?
Gilligan's Island,
Exactly.
and then I Dream of Jeannie,
Mhm.
I Love
Yep, me
Lucy.
too. All those. You know what? Probably the difference was like I'm guessing that Lost in Space was never on Nick and Night because I'm sure that's where you saw them as well.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember.
But like I don't feel like there's a huge built-in fan base of people like like the Lost in Space reboot. Like I've been waiting
Yeah.
all these years for that show. Like and my understanding was it was super super hokey, similar to a lot of the shows of that era.
Yeah. So anyway, I started watching the first season when it came out in 2018, and then the second one in 2019, and then we had COVID. So the show was, the third season was kind of on hiatus. Like they weren't doing any production or anything of it. And so I was telling Aaron how like the first two seasons for me, like they flowed pretty well. Like you're watching the first season, you're like, fuck yeah, I want to watch season 2. You watch it, you're like, yes, and then cliffhanger. Season 3 is going to come out pretty soon, and then COVID happened. So when I started watching season 3, I didn't did the continuity because of that gap like really kind of threw me off. Like it took me a little bit, like half an episode or maybe a full episode to like, okay, get the gears going the same, I guess the same speed as the first couple seasons.
Well, and just to back up a little bit, like the premise of the show is that
Family.
Earth is still habitable, but we've kind of fucked it up. Like, there's not going to be, what do they say? There's never going to be like sunshine or anything again in Earth. So, this family is leaving with this big spaceship to go colonize the planet Alpha Centauri. Like, they all have to take rigorous tests to make sure that they're up to par. Like, it's like the best and brightest are going to this new planet, and then there's a little oopsie, a little turbulence and trouble on the way to Alpha Centauri. They all get stranded and lost in space, hence the title.
Yeah, so it's based, it's a family, the Robinson family. It's like your typical nuclear family. Like there's a mom, a dad, a boy, and a girl.
well, yeah, and I think originally that was a playoff of Robinson Crusoe story called Swiss Family Robinson. I think that was what it was called.
Yeah.
Where like it's a family that's stranded on an island, but they're like, "Ooh, what if we did that
in space?" Yeah. And so yeah, if you watch the original show, they definitely do pay a lot of homage to the original show. There's like the frequent in the original show, Will was always getting himself into trouble, and like the line was always like, "Where's Will? Where's Will?" Like,
he's the Timmy of the series. Fucking Timmy from Lassie.
So they do that,
but instead of Lassie, what do they have?
They have a robot, a big giant robot. So what makes this show awesome, and in addition to just the plot and all the cool stuff that happens, is like the special effects on this thing are fucking like movie quality, but awesome. Like they're amazing for it having just been a fucking series on a streaming platform. But it's I mean, what do you think about the special effects and all that production stuff?
So that is the thing where if I'm doing pros and cons of the show, I think the biggest pro is just the overall production quality. I mean, I think the cinematography, like the special effects, I mean, just every aspect of them technically making the show is just really excellent.
Yeah.
And I think even like the costume design, the set design, down to like they shot the whole first season, I think in like the Vancouver area of Canada. It's like really beautiful. Just the whole show looks gorgeous, which it's like well done to all those people. Screenwriters, maybe not so much. Maybe they were not quite up to par for the rest of the production crew, but that is not to take away with how the show is made. So.
Essentially, without giving away any plot, the family, yeah, they're stranded out in space, and it just seems to be like one thing after another fucking thing, and they're trying to do this, and then this fucking thing, catastrophe. Like, nothing really goes as planned with this family. Like, something always happens to get fucked, and them having to figure it out.
It's a little bit like disaster porn in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a lot of these things aren't flowing naturally. It's just like, oh no, we have to figure out something bad to happen. Well, we're just gonna pretend there's tar pits randomly on this planet. Oh no, like,
this is MacGyvering shit in space, like just to
sort of, but like the things in MacGyver would have theoretically worked, whereas there's stuff they're doing here. It's like, what?
Well, it's space, so like you kind of just. Fuck it, it's fucking futuristic. Fuck it. You don't need to read too much into if this actually can or can't happen.
Okay, this is a light spoiler. Okay, and this is just an example. So if you don't want to hear anything, cover your ears.
Earmuffs.
But there is one part where there are two of the main characters are stuck on this like hunk of ship that has exploded, and they're in the orbit around the planet, and they're trying to signal so they can get saved. And the one guy who knows how to make the signal has this like coolant in his eyes, and this is really like a plot point. They're like, the other guy's like, well, if I can make him sad so he cries, then it'll flush out the coolant and he'll be able to see and save us. And so he's like telling this guy all these things that he thinks are going to make him sad and cry. I'm like, motherfuckers, that's not how your tear ducts work. Like if you have an irritant in your eyes, you just tear up. That's the whole thing with onions. Like, this isn't advanced technology or science. Like, you dumb motherfuckers, what are you doing? And I was laughing so hard through that part, though. Like, it's one of those shows where it's just don't think too hard about it, don't analyze it, and just be like, ooh, pretty special effects, it's fun. Like, and I think it's highly enjoyable, but the screenwriters, like, what the fuck?
The tone, though, the general tone tends to be a little bit more on like the serious side, with sprinkled in like moments of levity and funny shit and funny lines. And then they have like that one character, Don West, that's like, is that his name? Don West?
That is correct. That is the character's name. Yeah, well, it is weird though, right? Because they go back and forth. Like, sometimes they're trying to play it really serious and gritty, and then like a scene later, they're like, look, it's campy and silly. So again, I think it's one of those shows where it's like you just have to turn your brain off a little bit, and then it's fun.
Yeah. A lot of great performances as far as actors and actresses in the movie or in the show. I don't recognize any of the actors from other things they've done. Like, they're all kind of fresh faces.
The only one I knew, and I'd seen her a bunch of stuff, was Parker Posey.
Oh, yeah.
She plays Dr.
Zoe Smith?
Yeah. And she's been in a bunch of stuff, which was also interesting, though, because almost everything I can remember her in have been these sort of like, small indie movies and things like that. So I'm like, how the fuck did she end up on this, like, very slick but cheesy sci-fi show on Netflix?
But she plays that character that she plays to a fucking T. Like, she does a very good job of playing like this kind of annoying, kind of weird, kind of like sneaky little fucking cunt that just does some almost like, especially in the first season, you're like, this little bitch is a fucking like you almost to the point where you think she's the antagonist, but she's just anyway. She's really good in it. I think she's really good and funny. The guy that plays the Don West character, he's funny as fuck.
If you want to see, I think the best Parker Posey movie, I would watch
Scream.
She wasn't Scream. But it was actually I in my ultimate ranking of movies, I put this a little bit higher than Scream. It was called Best in Show, and it's like a mockumentary about these dog shows. It was pretty fucking funny.
So yeah, they just released season 3. There's 3 seasons. But the 3rd season is the final season. I don't know if that was because of COVID or maybe they lost viewership because of that lapse in time. Maybe they lost the following that they had. They lost the steam. But I couldn't wait until the 3rd season came out, and then Aaron was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, it is out." Fuck. So I just I watched binged the entire thing, and I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I liked it for what it is, for it being like the sci-fi, action comedy type of thing.
Kind of like a science-ish soap opera. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah.
There's science, sort of.
Yeah.
They don't lean too heavy into the science exactly. It's more about like the characters getting put in crazy situations and it's a good soap opera / disaster porn.
They could have done more. I'm sure they could have done more seasons and kept running with it.
So on a scale of 1 to 10 homicidal robots, how do you rate it?
I give it like an 8.5, 8 3/4, maybe even a 9. Ooh, I really liked it. I really liked
nine homicidal robots is a lot.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay, for me, I would give it a 6 or 7 homicidal robots. I highly enjoy it. I'm gonna probably, almost definitely watch through the 3rd season. But as soon as The Witcher came out, I'm like, oh no, Lost in Space, you're the sideshow now. I'll come back to you when I am done with The Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it was when I first kind of discovered it, like I wasn't in, like I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I watched it and I was like, oh shit, I found myself kind of captivated and with the characters, and they all, like I said, they all do a good job. The would you say that what the fuck is her name? I'm gonna look it up because I'm forgetting. Oh, Judy, the would you say biracial daughter of in the Robinson family, who happens to be like the oldest, kind of like the most. They give her the most responsibility. She happens to know a lot of shit.
She's a doctor. She's the doctor in the whole party.
Yeah. That little actress. I don't know her name, but I'd never seen her in anything, and I was like, oh, who the fuck is this? Intelligent, young, I guess up and coming actress. I don't know if she's done other big stuff, but she did a pretty good job. I think she was like my favorite character of all, like the Robinson. I thought Will being the kind of like a, but no, it was her. I really liked her and her her story arc. And then in season 3, some crazy shit happens. I won't spoil what happens, but you're like, oh fuck, like. So they develop her character a lot more and give her more depth in season 3, and she was really good.
Okay. I found most of the Robinsons at least a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
They all just, most of the problems at least crop up from them doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
It's like you just created this problem for yourself for no reason.
Yeah.
Fucking Robinsons. So it does make me laugh because there's a lot of these characters like, God, these freaking Robinsons. I'm like, yeah, I feel you characters.
Yeah.
But she I think she did a good job. I mean they all did a good job as actors and actresses with what was given to them.
If you're if you degenerate out there and you need a show to watch and you don't want to sit through like 10 seasons of something, the Lost in Space, 3 seasons. I think the first 2 are 10 episodes apiece. The last one's only 8 episodes, I believe. I think they're hour long or 45-minute long an episode. So this is a little bit of a longer one, but it goes by pretty quick. You get pretty sucked into the story and the plot, and like I said, one thing after another, these fuckers are just finding themselves and getting into like deeper shit, and it's just, so it keeps the pace of the show pretty good. I recommend watching it if you're a sci-fi dork, or if you watch the original show and you're kind of nostalgic and you want to see what the current technology can do to improve the old show. Like Aaron said, we're not going to do an episode next week. So this will be the year-end Degenerates until January 2022. I don't have anything else to add. Do you?
Nah, let's cut it there.
So hope you guys have a good Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And a Merry New Year.
Merry New Year. And Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and all you other dudes and devil worshippers alike.
Hanukkah's over. You're so insensitive
I will be in.
to my culture.
I'll be flying to California this week.
Dude, wait, hold on. Is Hanukkah actually over?
I don't know. You should know.
Why should I know?
This is the fucking Jewish dude. So how the fuck should I? Anyway, yeah, we'll talk to you guys next year. Hope you guys stay safe. Don't drink too much. Love you guys. Thank you guys for your support for the past year, and we'll catch you guys in 2022. Bye.
That was all right.